that we're training up. We're training them up. We are getting them into the fight. When those Iraqi battalions are battle-hardened and they start to rotate into the positions on the battlefield, displacing American forces, the American forces can then rotate out, come back to the U.S. or go to other places in Central Command. That's the right way to win. It's called victory. That's how we leave Iraq.
No matter how long it takes, sir? No matter how long it takes?
What's that?
No matter how long it takes.
Well, let me tell you, right now we've seen an 80% depression in the attacks in Anbar province, those tough towns of Fallujah and Ramadi, which were incidentally the toughest, most difficult towns where gun battles were being waged daily. We've now knocked that down 80%, and my answer is, if you think we're going to be there for a long time, you don't understand the determination of the U.S. Marines and the U.S. Army. We're going to turn it over.
Congressman Tancredo, you oppose the troop surge from the start. You advocate pulling forces back from the front lines to strategic positions across the Middle East. Is there anything that General Petraeus could say when he reports to Congress next week that would change your mind?
Well, I hope and pray that, of course, the surge works. I hope, and in fact, I believe there are indications that certain aspects of it are. I don't doubt that for a moment. And I want to commend General Petraeus. I want to commend every single person serving in the theater. But let me get back to a central point here, and that is why we're there and in fact, with whom we are at war. The war is not actually in Iraq. The war is with radical Islam. That's who we are at war with, and we have to understand it. Iraq is a battlefield in that war. And in order for us to be successful there, a number of things are going to have to happen. And I think when we talk about the disengagement, that is exactly what I believe has to happen. We have to disengage as the police force in Iraq. But we cannot leave the country. We cannot leave because this is not a war that will end with our departure. I wish that were the case. Wouldn't that be wonderful if that's all it would take for us to say, we'll withdraw all of our troops and we will never have another thing to worry about. But we were not attacked because we had troops in Saudi Arabia. I don't believe it. We were attacked because radical Islam wants to destroy the United States of America and any part of this world that they do not agree with.
Well, it's been a lively round here in the hall. Let's see if that's reflected down at Young's Restaurant where Carl Cameron is standing by. Carl?
Hiya, Britt. During part of this exchange, I sort of asked our group gathered here what they thought of what was going on, and the consensus was that there was a lot of skirting of the issues and not a great degree of clarity. New Hampshire, in fact, our hosts here at UNH have all had sacrifices. There was a UNH grad, Ben Keating, who was the head of the College Republicans who gave up his life in Iraq for this mission. And we want to talk now with Mark and Deb Riss. Mr. Riss is a deputy sheriff here in Stratford County, and their son Dan comes back after his second tour in just 2 weeks. You've heard a great deal about this. Tell us what it is that you are most interested in, and there's a question, I guess, for Mr. Romney about the timing of all this.
Yes, what I'm obviously most interested in is how we can bring an endgame to the war in Iraq, and yet still do it so that it's a victory for us and a victory for the people of Iraq. And my question is to Governor Romney, and that is, I've heard the other people up there articulate themselves a little bit better, but in your answer, I didn't hear how you would end it. I didn't hear an end game plan from you, and I would like a response on that. And also along those same lines, sir, a comment. I don't think you fully understand how offended my wife and I were, and probably the rest of the people who have sons, daughters, husbands, and wives serving in the war on terror, to compare your son's attempts to get you elected to my son's service in Iraq. I know you apologized a couple days later after a firestorm started, but it was wrong, sir, and you never should have said it.
Well, there is no comparison, of course. There's no question but that the honor that we have for men and women who serve in armed forces is a place of honor we will never forget, and nothing compares to it. People are willing to put their life on the line for American freedom are in a league of their own, and we owe them our respect, and the sacrifice they make is something we'll never forget. The issue that I think Congressman Tancredo hit the nail on the head. This is not about broken pottery, and it's also not about just getting out because we made a mistake. This is a global conflict going on. Radical, violent jihad. This effort ranges from Indonesia to Nigeria and through Europe and into America. And this battlefield of Iraq is a place where we have to be successful because the consequences of what will happen in this global battlefield are enormous. And that's why it's so important for us to be successful with the surge. And I agree, it looks successful. I certainly hope it's going to be fully successful. And as we are able to do that, we're going to see ourselves able to continue in our efforts to overwhelm jihad. The key is this. We need a global strategy, and on my website you'll see it, a global strategy to help us overcome jihad globally, because this is the threat which faces the entire civilized world.
Governor, let me follow up on one point.
Yeah.
You again said it looks successful. Senator McCain disagreed with you on that point.
I'm gonna
is
wait.
it or isn't it?
Well, we haven't heard from General Petraeus and Ambassador Crocker. I believe it's successful.
Okay.
But I'm going to hold out until we hear the report. I'm going to give them the benefit of hearing that. I know there's some early reports that they're going to say it's successful. And I certainly hope that's the case. But let's listen to their report.
Okay.
And assuming success, let's start bringing our troops back when they feel it's the right time to do so, to make sure that we move to the support stage out of a posture of strength and not out of a posture of bowing to the Democrats. The Democrats want to remove al-Maliki. They want to remove the head of the government and withdraw. That's a policy for chaos.
Thank you, Governor. New subject, new round. Wendell?
I want to talk, gentlemen.